I'm a very visual person. I love lists. My house is covered in a beautiful tapestry of Post-it notes. I think that I'm able to exist as a somewhat high-functioning human because I push off some of my mental load onto whatever spare pieces of paper I can find, which not only keeps me organized, but also helps me think and make decisions. Plus, the paper cuts, honestly, they keep me humble. When I am considering a choice and I write it down, I can analyze it from different angles. I can try different options on for size. Now, because this month we've been looking at how we can make better decisions in 2024, I have been evaluating how I make decisions as well. And what I learned in today's discussion is that my choices should easily line up with my values. If they do, they're clearly the right choice. But how do we know if something lines up with our values? One way is by using a values filter. No, it does not make your photos look better or get rid of all your wrinkles. It's not that kind of filter. It's just a simple quadrant on a piece of paper. This is Choice Words. I'm Samantha Bee. Today, I spoke with best-selling author Tara Schuster. Her books Buy Yourself the Fucking Lilies and Glow in the Fucking Dark give readers concrete steps on how to prioritize themselves and make better decisions. She suggests using a values filter, and her current values are health, love, and organization. Those are pretty good. Mine are family, health, and learning. We all have different values, and our values shift as we evolve and enter different phases of life. But even as they change, the tools for making good decisions can stay the same. So take a listen and make good choices. Oh my God, hi.
Yay, hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for saying yes to this.
My pleasure. I am a huge fan and have been. I was an intern at The Daily Show.
I know. Okay, absolutely. Before we talk about anything, we need to talk about your internship at The Daily Show because I actually listened to Buy Yourself the Fucking Lilies and refreshed. It is such a good book.
Oh, thank you.
And you talk a lot about your internship and like how meaningful, like what a great like learning ground it was. But okay, so what year were you an intern at The Daily Show?
2009.
2009. So I was there.
Yes.
I was like having babies.
Yes. John Oliver was there. You were very nice. Yeah, I mean, that one internship, it sounds like corny and that can't be true, but it affected every other part of my career.
Yeah, it really is. Like, I feel, I didn't have an internship there. I had
a legit job.
When I got hired, I had a legit job, except that I felt it almost was like I never had a single job before I started that job, even though I did. Like, I had been doing comedy, but it was such a different world of like the pace of it was just like insane. And I learned so much about things I just never would have necessarily learned about. The good, the bad, the ugly, mostly the good. All right. So today we're going to talk about choice. And you know what? There's almost no one I would prefer to talk about choice with because you have made a lot of choices in your life.
Yes.
A lot. And I do usually talk about big choices that my guests have made, but this month is all about, I think, talking to people with insight into how we can make better decisions in 2024. What is your relationship to just like the concept of choice?
Yeah, I guess I'll back up for 1 second and sort of explain why why I've made so many choices and how this all came to be, which is I grew up in a neglected, abusive household where things came to die. And I promise the rest of the story won't be that much of a bummer. We'll return to lightness, but I do need to start with that caveat. Things came to die. It was, I don't blame my parents. They obviously had been through horrific situations themselves, but they didn't have the capacity to take care of children, nor the capacity to learn. And so that left me in survival mode. This house, it was an open construction site for all of the time I grew up after a hasty remodel. So it was a physically dangerous place to grow up. And I just knew I have to get out of here. I got to survive my way through this. So from a very young age, I had to make basically every choice on my own. And the biggest choice I made when I was young was I need to be successful. I need status. I need money. I need to get out of here. I need to go to an Ivy League school. So I just hustled, all A's, all AP classes in high school. I'm going to get to this Ivy League. It's going to save my life. Get to the Ivy League. Surprise! This didn't save your life at all. You just don't know who you are and are severely depressed. But I kept that formula of I'm going to hustle. I'm going to get external validation. I got to my internship at The Daily Show, got a really great job at Comedy Central, was one of the youngest executives ever. And I might have kept just going that way, survival, hustling for my worth, had I not drunk dialed my therapist on my 25th birthday, threatening to kill myself.
Yes.
And it was that next morning that I realized if I don't save my life, I am not going to have much more of a life to live.
Right.
And so I realized I got real with myself. I never had parents in the way that I would have learned lessons or have a framework for living. I need to reparent myself. I need to be my own parent. And a big part of that was what choices would I make? Because in my family, the little things, like what movie should we go to, was a 10 out of 10 screaming match between my mom and my dad.
Right.
But should Tara get a jaw surgery that everyone says she needs to get? Well, I don't know. Let's think about it later.
Right.
Right. Like the little things were treated like crisis, like sound the alarms. The big things were treated like, meh, it'll probably be fine.
I'm sure that the church jaw will resolve itself, right?
And actually,
that's just, you can will that.
We can will this into being, or kind of, well, things usually end up okay. And so all of those things, and the jaw thing has repercussions to this day. But when I was reparenting myself, I decided the process of making choices was so horrific. If I had to, at a restaurant, am I going to get the pad thai or the pad see-ew? Because the framework I had was, this is a crisis, I treated Thai food like a crisis. So I didn't want to feel that bad anymore. I didn't constantly want to walk around the world anxious, an anxiety knot in my chest. I mean, if you've ever seen the girl who's like crying on the subway next to you, I was her 6 days a week. I mean, I was living in constant anxiety and depression. And so I kind of came up with 3 ways that I would make choices differently. And the first was to just lower the stakes on everything, because I was treating everything like it was the most important thing ever. You know what? I had gotten myself to survive. I had done a good job of being my own parent, Probably my choices are pretty good. I decided they're actually, look where I am. My parents' choices, not so great. My choices, the ones I made, have been pretty good. So 1, lower the stakes. 2, this is a new one, which have you ever heard of the therapy internal family systems?
No.
It's a fabulous idea that there are lots of different parts within us and they're all working for our benefit. I love it. It was created by this Dr. Richard Schwartz, and I was talking to him, and I was complaining about a mistake I had made, a problem, about a choice. Can I use a curse word, or is this a no curse word?
Of course.
Okay.
No, you can definitely curse.
And he looked at me and he said, another fucking growth opportunity. And at first I was like, damn, well, how many more growth opportunities do I need? Are you kidding me? No. And then I thought, oh yeah, even if I make the wrong choice, what's a wrong choice? As long as I learn from it. And the third thing that has helped me more than anything else is I have a values filter.
Right.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. What do you mean when you say a values filter?
So the only values I learned growing up were make money, be better than everybody else, repeat. There was like never, my God kids.
And you're off.
Yeah, and enjoy
adulthood.
Good luck to ye. And now I'm like giving my godchildren books about like, kindness is the way, like share it. I'm like, where was that literature? So I decided I need values. I definitely don't have them. How do I get values? I just started Googling the shit out of values.
This is so like, this is incredible. You're like, what are values?
Yeah, literally search, what are values? How do you get them? What are the
human
best?
beings aspire to, generally speaking?
I mean, I've also Googled, what is fun? That's a recent Google and a totally different subject. But yeah, what are values? And I just would go through lists of values and kind of try them on. And now I started doing that 10 years ago. So now I really have it dialed in. What are values? For me, they're just the things you value more than anything else that you actually prioritize. And what I do is I kind of create, I don't know what the word is, but it's like a cross, like with 4 quadrants. And in each quadrant, I put, what are my 4 values? And only 4, because more than 4 is upsetting and confusing, and I can get very lost.
Okay.
And every time I have a choice, I run it through this little value machine, this little quadrant, and I see, does this choice line up with my values? And if no, that's a super simple pass. That's okay, no, this doesn't line up with me. I want to lead a value-driven life. And what that means is you actually have to, choice by choice, honor your values. And I really trust myself on those values because I've spent so goddamn much time Googling it. Like, I've researched this. I know these are my values, and they do change. Right now, my values are health, love, organization, because I'm deeply disorganized. That's not usually one, but I'm deeply disorganized, and spirituality. And so every choice, and it doesn't have to full buy into each one, but it's just a filter that makes it so much easier to make choices.
This is wonderful. I love this process. You know what I love about this is that it's like it's a practice. Like it's like an actual practice that has a physical aspect to it.
Yes.
Like you talk so much in your first book about journaling and the value of like just sitting down and writing out your thoughts and like the maintaining that practice.
Yes.
Because just like the physical act. And then if you read back through your journals from 6 months, it'll tell you what your patterns are.
Yes.
And only when you know what your patterns are, you can break them.
Yes.
So I feel like this is just so tactile and so helpful because it's like a thing. And if you're list-based, I'm very list-based, it's very helpful to have something you can see. Are you a visual person in that way?
I'm extremely visual. And I think even more than that, because I had to decide how to live. I had a lot of really bad, unhelpful, making me miserable ideas of how to live a life. And I started over and decided I am not going to neglect myself. I'm not going to lead a life that is actively killing me and just makes me anxious all the time. And I can't do this by thinking. You know, I could read every self-help book, every philosophy book, every spirituality book, but if I don't figure out a way to make a ritual and incorporate it into the fabric of my everyday, it's like I didn't read the book at all. It's just a nice thought. So in both of my books, every single thing I discuss, like you said, has some sort of physical manifestation, something that you can actually do today for free to weave this into your life. And so that's why something like the values filter, out of my head. I don't need to think about this. I just need to run it through the values filter.
Want to listen to the rest of this episode? Head over to your favorite podcast player to hear the entire show. I highly recommend it.